Hi guys, I thought while my workshop is sort of unusually clean and tidy, we'd do a little bit of a tour around of what I've got down here in terms of tools and equipment and kind of just generally how I set this up. Now this workshop isn't by any means finished in terms of setup, this is just how it stands at the moment. So first thing to bear in mind is that not everything is quite what it seems. Like this cupboard here isn't a cupboard, it's a spray painting booth. So I do quite a lot of spray painting with just aerosol paint. And this is a kitchen extractor hood up underneath there, which it pulls quite a lot of air through, and it's ducted through the front garage door outside to just remove any fumes. I am ultimately intending to get myself an airbrush so that I don't have to do everything with aerosol paint. So next sort of thing moving along, I've got this, which is sort of a terminal to the computer upstairs. So there's basically just cables drop down through the floor to give me a keyboard, a mouse and a monitor that link up to upstairs, which is invaluable for just pulling up YouTube tutorials or reference images or whatever. Then we have sort of an electronics type area, so got sort of all components stored on the shelves up above and in the little drawers to the side. Got a power strip at the back. At the moment that's where the Dremel's sitting. Now, at the end of this shelf here, we've got a bench power supply. I might do a separate video on how I built this. It's got four separate outputs, three of which are fixed useful voltages, and the other one's a variable voltage output. So it's a little bit different to your standard bench power supply in that it's got the fixed voltage sections. So I might do a video on that if people are interested. Then we have my steampunk jetpack and a shield, because why not? And that's the stand for the Dremel, and a 1936 Wolf bench drill, which I don't know if I'm keeping. It's single speed, so I don't have a lot of use for it. Then down under here we have a Black & Decker Workmate, except that this one is mounted on wheels. It's on a caster base, so I can pull it out and wheel it to wherever I need it in the workshop, or even out onto the drive on sunny days. Then we've got components stored in a Bisley multi-drawer cabinet, again mounted on wheels so I can pull it out. More components stored in some wooden drawers on the top. Sort of store of tube and long sort of stock material, mainly copper pipe for building steampunk stuff. Then we have a bench sander. This is a combined belt and disc sander. This one's from Aldi, and I've set this up with dust extraction, which I'll talk more about in a little bit. So that's very useful machine to have. Can't really say I've got any complaints about that. The only thing that I might do is ultimately put it on a variable speed drive so that I can slow it right down when I'm sanding plastic so it doesn't melt the plastic. Then just sort of scrolling up, we have a lightsaber and the HAL 9000 interface from 2001 Space Odyssey. Few other bits on the wall. Then we've got a little bit of a tool board there, mainly for tools to do with the pillar drill, which sits at this end. There's going to be a separate video talking about this pillar drill, because I would not advise anybody buy this particular pillar drill. It has a lot of problems. There will be a separate video about specifically that pillar drill and everything that's wrong with it. Also on that bench there's a bench vise just mounted on the side. Doesn't get as much use as you'd think. I tend to do things on the Workmate instead. more what I do use is the anvil behind it, which is it's just a piece of steel plate. I think it's the plate for a magnetic door lock, but it's just basically a 5mm thick chunk of steel which is useful to hammer things onto and rivet through leather onto and that kind of thing. Then we have a cabinet mounted on the wall of all my drill bits, or certainly the majority of my drill bits. Yeah, there's a rubber spider hanging from the water pipe, don't ask why, just there. It's like a bit like there's a Suez Canal tonnage limit sign up there. Then I've got a scroll saw, which gets a surprising amount of use. I basically only bought it because it was 25 quid, because it was the Aldi opening deal for the new Aldi near me. Then that's the power supply unit for the filming lights, which has a cooling fan in it which chucks out quite a lot of noise, unfortunately, which isn't ideal, but at some point I'll have to upgrade that. Then we have a long toolboard of hand tools. Bench polisher made out of an old power drill. I am intending to get a proper bench polisher at some point because I use it way more than I thought I would. Then finally at the end we have a stereo which is hooked up to the stereo upstairs to play back music through the speakers down here, because basically I need something that's fairly loud so I can hear it over the top of the machinery, especially if I'm running the belt sander with the dust extraction going. Then we've got storage cupboards everywhere, and on top just various items that I've collected. But a little bit more about this dust extraction system that I've got hooked up to the belt sander, and also got a line off it to actually hoover the floor. So it's an old pneumatic vacuum cleaner. I think it's a 1500 watt vacuum cleaner, which is then hooked up through this hose to a cyclone with a paint bucket underneath, which must take out about 90% of the dust that never makes it through to the hoover, so it's easier than changing the bags. I empty that paint bucket out into the wheelie bin. Then there's a drain pipe essentially that runs behind this bench that it pulls through, and then there's homemade blast gates on this end and on the sander down at this end, so that when I fire the sander up it just pulls the dust straight through into that paint bucket. So that's really the back half of the workshop. The front half I haven't really done a lot with yet. The curtain sort of halfway down just here is mainly so I can have a certain amount of heating in the back part in the winter. So I tend to just run a little fan heater down here in the winter. But the front half is a lot colder because you've got the garage doors at the front, so you can't really stop the drafts. There's a sink in the front half, and then the rest of it's mainly just wood storage. Nothing particularly interesting. But yeah, if you've got any questions, just stick them in the comments. As I say, this isn't by any means finished. This is just as it stands at the moment. I just thought I'd take the opportunity, as I say, while it's unusually clean and tidy down here, to actually just show you guys around. Thank you for watching, and catch you soon.